All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo, joined as always by my partner in crime, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz, and this is the special Royal Rumble edition of the recap. Just wrapped up probably about 20 minutes ago, roughly. Big D, this is one, I know it's one of your favorites, and you were looking forward to it. So,
yeah,
overall feelings, did it meet your expectations?
No.
Well, thank God I wasn't the only one.
Jeez.
It's a little bit of a bummer.
We could have seen a lot better from the Rumble, both men's and women's, and then overall, just I don't know. We can discuss, but
yeah, we'll dive in because for me it was a mixed bag. I will say I wasn't as happy with it as I had hoped. We'll put it that way.
Same.
Like for me, it was somewhat disappointing. I think I built up the expectations a little bit more than what I got. Maybe that's my fault. But let's start with the Women's Rumble. Women's Rumble, spoiler alert, Bayley is our women's winner this year. And this makes more sense to me kind of as it played out, especially since on SmackDown, the Kabuki Warriors did win the tag titles.
They did.
And I know you and I talked about that last week.
In motion, honestly, for this. So, yeah.
And it set it up because that's been the whole story with Damage Control is this is Bayley's master plan. They're going to win the tag titles, and then Bayley just has to win the Rumble, and she's going to get Rhea Ripley's title. So when they won on SmackDown, I thought was like, okay, they're going to steer towards the Bayley storyline then because this is set up. They've been doing that.
Right.
But yeah, it was a little interesting how they got there. We were kind of right with, I mean, your top three predictions, if I recall, were for surprise entrance were Jade Cargill, who obviously, and we'll talk about her, she was awesome. And then we had said
Sasha.
Poor AJ. So Sasha Banks and AJ.
Oh, well.
No Sasha Banks, no AJ. We got Liv Morgan, which I like Liv Morgan, but we got a surprise Naomi at number 2. Which was another surprise entrant as well.
No, we got an even bigger surprise with Jordan Grace,
Jordan
TNA
Grace.
Knockouts champ. See, it was weird because when Naomi came out, Michael Cole was like, "Oh, she took some time away from WWE. She won the TNA Knockout Women's Champion." I'm like, "Hold on, why are you mentioning that?" Because as we know, a while back, WWE is part of that new Endeavor company that they. I don't think it's called Endeavor anymore. Anyways, they're part of the new company
it's
with
like
the
TKO,
UFC.
right?
Yeah, TKO. So thank you, TKO, which also bought TNA, and people were thinking like, oh, there's going to be a big crossover, and Triple H was like, no, I'm not. He never discussed it. He didn't say no, but he did ever discussed it. So I didn't think it was going to be something that actually happened because TNA, it's been running for the longest time. And those who have been living under a rock and don't know what TNA is, and maybe that's why you're surprised when you've never seen AJ Styles before. But TNA was great, right? And it still is. And it was just interesting that they mentioned that. And I was like, that's very odd. Why would they do that? And then shortly after, music hits and it's Jordan Grace. And I was like, holy crap. Like, and she's wearing the knockouts. I thought, oh, contract ended.
She walked out with her title on.
She walked out with the title. And I was like, oh, we're doing that now. So, see, this WWE, this is where you messed up. Because then when I saw that, my hopes went up even more. Because I was like, ooh, what if we get Moose? What if we get Bully Ray on a nice little return? Like, you know what I mean? I know he's retired and stuff, but still, like, a good little nostalgic pop. What if we get some stuff like that? I was like, oh my God, like there's so much possibilities now for the Men's Rumble. This just opened it wide up. We'll get to the Men's Rumble later. But again, you did it to yourself. But but she
set expectations too high, WWE.
Right. She said Jordan Grace did a great job, honestly, in the Rumble. It was nice to see.
She was one of my favorite parts of the Women's Rumble. And she looked so impressive. And so explosive. Like when she got in there initially when her number hit and was kind of just running wild on everybody, I was like, wow, she looks a lot better than everybody that's in the ring. And much more impressive and much more athletic and explosive. I like the stuff they did with her and Ivy Nile.
That was good.
Because they're both kind of pumped up. That was pretty neat. Obviously, they had her with Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair eventually was the one that eliminated her. Because they gotta keep the shine on the WWE folks. But I really, really enjoyed that part of the Women's Rumble. And that made it feel a little bit more special because you want to see the really, truly surprise entrance that make you go, hey, what the heck? I didn't expect this person was going to be in here. and it was more than just a novelty because she actually looked fantastic, and they talked
She
her
did.
up on commentary too. So
They really did.
I really enjoyed that part.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I think it added a good surprise element to the women's rumble. We didn't get Sasha, we didn't get AJ, and that's cool. But at the same time, that it was a nice little twist that kind of just I didn't see coming. I totally honestly, since they never talked about it, I kind of forgot about it until it happened, and I was like, oh yeah, they do have that like co-mingling, so to speak, there. So maybe that opens the doors now for some nice matches or some nice angles, going in. Who knows what'll become of that, because I think she was the only TNA wrestler to show up on the Rumble, the entire show. So
I believe so too.
yeah, I didn't see anybody else, but I mean, opens the doors. Who knows? Maybe they exchange people. Who knows what can happen with that? That's pretty cool to see. Makes me excited because for the longest time, I feel like Vince like gate kept like WWE from like the other promotions. They wouldn't like work together, and that's what created like the Monday Night Wars and all the other stuff going on. But I mean, now that Triple H is fully taken over, I think this helps immensely in the product in the image of WWE. I feel.
Agreed. And I think, hopefully it's a sign of things to come. They kind of continue to do this and not restrict, hey, you can't talk about other promotions or other branding or anything like that.
Right.
So that would be nice.
It would.
Obviously, the other big thing in this one was Jade Cargill finally making her debut.
She looked
came at
amazing
number 28.
in that
She
match.
looked incredible. She looked so good. And then she eliminated Nia Jax, kind of picked her up and threw her out by herself.
That was insane.
She looked so strong. Yeah. And this is where I figured, since Nia Jax, the whole build-up with Nia was she was the unstoppable force, and now I'm assuming they're going to feud. As
They
the
have
first
to.
feud, it's going to be Nia and Jade
They
Cargill.
have
You
to.
got to do that now because of what happened.
I agree, and it was crazy because even like my wife's a casual viewer; she'll watch wrestling with me, and we're watching it. And I was really liking her reactions, like when Jade got Nia and just scooped her up like nothing. I was like, wow, and I was like, yeah. And then when she just got her and just dumped her out, I was like, oh crap, they just let Nia, eat that one, And I was like, I liked it because I didn't want Nia to win, obviously, but at the same time, I was like, wow, that's a really, really strong showing for Jade, because now what they pretty much did with that sequence of events, probably maybe about like less than a few minutes, right? But with those less than few minutes that they had, what they just did is they moved her up the card to the top.
Yeah.
So now she just got like
they
shot like
did.
a cannon out. And because now she just dumped out Nia, who has been squashing the entire women's division. So what does that say about Jade now? Now she doesn't have to prove herself, because she just came in and ran roughshod through everyone. I will say that was a nice standoff between her and Bianca, because they're pretty much almost carbon copies of each other, gimmick-wise, right? But Jade's a little more finessed in her style than Bianca is, I feel. Bianca's a little more athletic, and Jade is a little more like pro wrestling-like, I feel, right? But yeah, it's really cool. I'd like to see a one-on-one match between the two. That would be a cool little match to see, for sure. But yeah, I wonder whomever Bailey does go against, I hope Jade gets against the opposite, because now I feel Bailey winning. I have a feeling that they're still going to push this storyline of her feuding with Damage Control. And I feel it's going to be her and Io. I feel it's going to be her and Io. And here's why. Why pass up the opportunity to have Rhea against Jade?
Yeah.
I mean, those are your
agree.
two powerhouses.
And I think they kind of they've been doing the whole tease with the Damage Control fallout, which is where you saw during the Rumble, she kind of worked with Asuka and Kairi Sane. Yeah. And they didn't really kind of work with her. It was more Bailey was saving Asuka every 5 seconds. And then at the end when she won, they did the camera angle where they cut to the back and Rhea Ripley's like smiling. And then Io Sky is staring off into the middle distance like a crazy person.
Worried.
And that's where it was like, like with his worried look on her face. And so you go, okay, so that for me, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, well, that's the storyline they're setting up now.
Yeah.
Is that it's not going to be her going for Rhea Ripley's, that they're going to try and throw her out of damage control, and then she's going to challenge Io Sky or something like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Interesting that they didn't try to really pull any strings during the Rumble. I kind of would have liked to see her team turn on her during the Rumble and her persevere a little bit.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. We did see Natalya and Tegan Nox kind of turn on each other at one point where they tried to eliminate. They ended up eliminating each other, and it was like, it's kind of been a long time coming.
Yeah.
And other news and notes, Becky Lynch. So this is the other thing I'll say is I don't really know where she came out at number 21. She didn't do much of anything. And then she kind of got eliminated in a collision with Jade Cargill and somebody else. I can't remember who it was at the time. Where she got kind of hit head and spun off the ropes. And then she's out. And it was like Becky's whole lead up to this was, well, I've got to do something. And I don't know if I'm any good. But if I got to win the Rumble so that I can prove that maybe I can beat Rhea Ripley because maybe I'm not any good. And then she didn't win the Rumble. So what's she going to do now? Did you decide you're not good anymore?
No, but maybe the gimmick of the man has ran its course, and maybe now we see a new, reinvented version of Becky. I know she's had different reincarnations of herself. The most recent one being Big Time Bex. Maybe who knows? Maybe this is where she kind of goes back and she finds herself again. Kind of like it's almost similar to like what happened to Butch in a way, of like he just wasn't finding the success he needed. Not at the same scale because Becky is much higher up in the card, obviously. But maybe I mean maybe there's something there that maybe they're gonna switch things up for her and we'll see a different kind of Becky at that point. I'm curious to see what they do with her because that's it was odd. It was odd because she wasn't really. She had a good comic spot when she saw Nia get eliminated by Jade, and she's like standing up next. She like pops up next to Jade, and she's just like laughing, and I thought that was hilarious. It was a good spot. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was funny, but other than that, like she really was kind of quiet throughout the whole thing, which was interesting. It was just odd.
She was kind of a non-factor for somebody who's so high profile, and she kind of came in late and then got eliminated pretty quickly after that. It was kind of odd to see, but and then the other note that I have for the Women's Rumble was R-Truth running down.
God, that was gold.
When his number got called, which was hysterical. R-Truth, again, everything that he did tonight was hilarious too. But he'd had that moment where he ran down. He thought it was the Men's Rumble, and then he was confused, and they had to send him back. And of course, he came out at the Men's Rumble, the same number.
But the way he played it off, he ran into that ring and looked so confused, and he was like, "Where are the men at?" Like he didn't know where they were, and threw off Valhalla, which good because she's not very strong in the ring, anyways, and so I think that was just a good way to.
That was probably for the best. I think
it saved
intentionally
her.
Done.
Yeah, it saved her. But again, it was hilarious because you had to have Adam Pearce come out and be like, "Not this one. You're in the wrong match." He's like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "There's no men in there." He's like, "No, there's no men in there. Like, get over here." I thought that was so good. I loved it so much. It was hilarious. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, but it was. I think overall, I probably like this match the best. I will say that. I think the women's Rumble actually enjoyed a little bit better than the men's Rumble. There were more moments for me that were exciting. The more debuts that were exciting between Jordan Grace and Jade Cargill. I had the most fun watching this match. So this was my match of the night.
Well, then you had the returns. You had the returns of Naomi and Liv Morgan too. So that was cool to see too. And Liv Morgan was an interesting one because she came out. She looked a little different than like her typical spunky character. She looked like a little more serious. Her moves were a little more direct. It was a little more cleaner. So it looks like maybe she's coming back a little bit stronger, which I'm excited to see because I think for the longest time she was trying to get to that main event spotlight, but she was just like that far from doing it. Like she was so close, and it just something didn't click. And I don't know, maybe her timeout, something did, and she found something that she could do that's going to help her. And maybe this is what it is because I did notice a different Liv Morgan than before. Even her ring attire was a little bit different than the last time we had seen her. And it was interesting. So I'm curious to see how that goes. They had her hang out to the very end. Final 3 is what she was in. So that means a lot. You know, that speaks a lot to what we can expect. Because at the end, it was, you know, her who eliminated Jade Cargill. So, I mean, that's another big thing to note as well, right? So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I agree with you. I think the Women's Rumble was probably the better of the two as far as exciting spots. Well, I guess I can't say I agree completely, but I can see that. I can see your point. I enjoyed both. You know, we'll talk about the men's later, and then I can give my general. But yeah, I think the Women's Rumble was very entertaining. Had a lot of good spots, a lot of good everything. Really, I think it was nice.
Yeah, I liked it. Surprised it started the show, and because I thought the U.S. Championship match would have started the show, but then after that we went into the Fatal 4-Way, which was also interesting because I thought at that point we'd probably go into the U.S. Championship match, but we didn't. We went into the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, AJ Styles. Roman Reigns retained. Take me through it, Big D. What did you think here? Roman Reigns gets the pinfall.
This is going to be a bit controversial, I think. I actually enjoyed the match itself, right? Minus the interference from Solo. I think it was unnecessary, only because he didn't do much. You know, he didn't.
He just gave everybody got a Samoan spike, and then that was
he started to stack people until he went through the barricade, and that was it, right? So I'm kind of like, why even have him out in the first place? Let Roman do that. It's a no DQ match. Let him bring in the chair. Let him get a weapon and start going to town. You know, so I felt that was unnecessary. But if I remove that piece, I enjoyed this match probably best, mainly because of the spot fest that it was. You know, you had the intertangled storylines. When AJ took Roman out with the chair and then took out Randy and then got LA Knight, he took LA Knight out and he stepped over LA Knight, implying like he'd always said, you just stepped over my body to go and he did it to him. Like, see, so like the little mental things like that, I was like, I like that. You know, going after, you know, Roman just kind of clearing house there for a little bit, and then everyone kind of got their moment to shine. LA Knight spots. Randy Orton actually put up a lot of good spots. LA Knight putting people through everything, almost hitting those finishers. Then again, the near falls really were good. There was a couple where I thought that was it. When there was a spot when who was it? I think Randy hit RKO's across the board. And I was like, "Oh, that's everybody!"
It. And then he hit the one on Roman, and I was like, "Oh, it's over." That was right when Solo came out and pulled him off.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, "Oh, that was it. That was it." You know, he pulled the ref. Yeah, knocked the ref out, which is dumb because it's a no DQ. You don't need to knock the ref out. Just go and interrupt the count.
Just pull on his foot. That's all you got to do. Yeah.
But yeah, but I again, a lot of good spots. I think everyone in the match had at least one near fall. Roman came out looking, strong on this match, and I think him getting the pin on his own helped him, because had he gotten it when Solo stacked everybody for him, it wouldn't have meant as much.
Yeah.
I don't feel it would have meant anything. So I think Roman being the one to hit his stuff and get the pinfall on his own, that's what did it. So that makes him as a viable champion. He's like, hey, I defended my title. There it is. So I liked the match. I don't know. What did you think?
I mean, it was good for what it was. I feel like there were certain points where it dragged a little. Like it was a very slow match at first. It felt a little bit slower when it was getting going. Then towards the end, it did turn into a spot fest, and everybody's hitting all their finishers. The pile kick out was a little silly to me, because when they're stacking
simultaneous,
all the bodies, and then AJ gets on top, and they all simultaneously get there. That looked like something out of a Laurel and Hardy sketch. So I was like, I wasn't a huge fan of that. Yeah. I agree. I thought the Solo Sikoa thing coming in, where he just gave everyone a Samoan spike, like, you get a Samoan spike and you get a Samoan spike, and then he gets knocked out, and so he kind of reset the match almost at that point. And I guess for me it was Roman won, and then he kind of won clean-ish. It's a no DQ, so it's like you can do whatever you want. Yeah. So he won clean-ish, and now I'm like, okay, what was the whole point with Randy Orton coming back? And I'm curious where they're going to go with this and how they're going to set this up leading into WrestleMania. It's like, please don't push all these guys to the side and have The Rock come back on Monday. Like, just don't do that.
Yeah, no.
Or on SmackDown on Friday. Like, don't have something like that happen. Please not. But I thought it was all right for what it was. I think I had so much expectations for this match that when it happened, I was like, oh, like, I was really hoping they were going to put the title on somebody else. I was hoping that they were going to end the streak at that point and maybe give LA Knight a shot, or maybe make Randy Orton the champion. And when it didn't happen, I was just like, yeah. But
and it's funny.
Hey,
I was actually
now they can work it towards WrestleMania.
True, and it's funny because I told my wife, I said, you know what the funniest thing, or the saddest thing is, I should say. I say funny, but it's sad. LA Knight is probably out of those four, the most over out of all four of them.
Yeah.
And they will not put the title on him. And it's crazy because he is so
it's like
over.
Not until the WWE decides. Like that, like you don't get yourself over. We get you over. That's how this works. That's the WWE philosophy. Yeah. So like it's almost like out of spite. They keep pushing him to the back of the line.
Yeah. Well, it's the same reason a hometown person seldomly wins their match. If they're playing, they're fighting in their hometown. Yeah,
it's like you gotta rev it in. If you're in your hometown, we're gonna make it look bad.
Yeah. So, oh well.
But U.S. Championship was after that one, and Logan Paul retained. So I will say this in defense: this match was surprisingly good for me, in the sense of Logan Paul is actually a pretty talented athlete.
He is.
And he did a lot of really athletic spots. As much as I don't like him, he looks good out there, and he hits his spots really well. And there was lots of cool spots. He had the flipping lariat. They called it a frog splash. It was really more of just a splash. It was like a top rope splash from him. It was just a big splash. And then the ending I thought was dumb.
Yeah.
Like this is what I had the issue with. Was at the end, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller come running down, and Theory slipped the brass knuckles to Logan Paul, and then KO wrestled the knuckles away from Logan Paul, and then put it on his own hand, hit him with it, and then the referee sees it when he's trying to pin him and disqualifies him.
Yeah,
and this is where I'm like, okay, but you cheated, like you're the face.
Yeah,
the guy brought in a weapon. You could have ripped it off his hands, thrown it, give him a stunner, and won. You could have done that. Instead, you hit him with the brass knuckles and you cheated. Then you got mad that you got caught cheating. Then all the commentators are going, KO got robbed here. And I'm like, wait a minute, KO didn't actually get robbed here. He actually cheated. So why are you guys talking about KO? You know, it's faces using heel tactics again. And we're trying to make a justification because, well, he brought him in. So it's like, well, no, because the face is supposed to rise above it.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to persevere, and they're supposed to do the right thing. And so, of course, KO goes ballistic afterwards and beats him up. And at this point, he's going to go on to WrestleMania. Logan Paul will go on to WrestleMania to defend the U.S. Championship. I'm sure he won't wrestle again until then. And he'll figure something out. But so I thought the ending was dumb, and I thought it was a stupid way to get there. The whole distraction by the entourage guy, which I can't remember his name, where he's like just wanders out of the crowd. That was kind of telegraphic. Dumb. Like I think. It was all of it was really telegraphed. The actual wrestling I thought was good. It was the storytelling and the way that they got there I thought was dumb.
Yeah, and it was for that reason I felt this was probably like the worst match of the night or dud of the night, only because, like you said, it was great in-ring work, right? So good on Logan, good on KO for putting up a great match on moves only, right? But the whole finish, I was like, this is I even called it too. I remember I was sitting there and I was telling my wife, I'm like, we're there, and I'm like watching, and I see the distraction. I'm like, they're lingering too long. Something's supposed to happen. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, something's supposed to happen because they're lingering way too long, which meant maybe there was some confusion. I was like,
why is it taking us so long for them to get him out of there? Yeah, because
it was
security there. I'm like,
it was stalling,
and I was waiting for like
much.
Somebody to. I was like, was KO going to sneak up and do something? Because I was like, why are they all hanging on the ropes like this? It was very strange.
What I thought was going to happen was the ref was going to get distracted with all that fiasco, and Logan Paul was going to pull the brass knucks out of his tights and then hit KO and put him back. That would have made more sense. But that whole orchestrated thing just so KO can get him, smack Logan Paul. I didn't like it because it's, again, faces doing heel tactics. Not a fan of that, but it's kind of like Logan Paul getting his comeuppance, right? Like, that's what you get. You brought that in, that's what you get. But the fact that he pinned him and the ref goes 1, 2, and then at 2 decides to look up. Oh, wait a minute, you got brass knuckles. That was so stupid. Like,
well, because it was like he wouldn't have noticed.
You're already at 2. Just hit the 3 and get it over with. Let Logan Paul cry about it on Raw or SmackDown or whatever about being robbed, and then set up the rubber match for, what, SummerSlam or WrestleMania or Elimination Chamber. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then
Whatever
do
you
that.
want to do. Yeah.
Then at that point, have an Elimination Chamber match for the U.S. title, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen. It's going to be an Elimination Chamber match, another tournament for qualifiers to fight Logan Paul. They're treating him like he's like a heavyweight champion, and I'm like, dude, this United States Championship is really meant to be that. Growing up watching wrestling, the only titles that would ever change hands on a weekly show would be the Intercontinental title, tag team titles. Then when the U.S. title came up, that was the third one that would be able to switch hands, aside from the hardcore title and all that, right? But heavyweight titles rarely changed hands unless they absolutely had to on regular Monday nights or Friday or SmackDowns, right? So why are we treating this United States title like it's like he's Roman Reigns? And we're like, nah, you got to earn him now because it's in his contract. Or maybe he decided that night he didn't want to drop the belt. I don't know. I'm sure there's something going on back there because he's liking the popularity he's gained and the new following he's gained as a result, which annoys me so much because it was such a crap finish. I hated it. I hated the finish so bad. Like, it was like, who does that? Like, what referee is counting 1, 2, then decides to look around while he's about to hit the 3 count
and
then
point at it.
Wait a minute.
Hand and then point.
You got And he was even like, I'm sorry, I have to. You have them, and I'm like, no, just 1, 2, 3, you're done. Get out of there, dude. Like, let them sort it out after.
Well, and these referees miss everything in these matches all the time. So the fact that he picked up on that one thing in that one moment in that split second is totally absurd. It's the least believable thing in pro wrestling. But
it was disappointing.
It was a bunk finish. I think it was
definitely
it was the worst match of the night. Yeah, it was the worst match of the night comparatively because it's 4 matches. You got 4 matches that are going on, and they were really good. And this one was wrestled really well. That's where I was like, okay,
if the finish was cleaner or better, if the finish was better, it probably would have been competitor for match of the night because how clean and good the wrestling spots were. But is
absolutely.
What it is.
But it stunk. I was just like, ugh. Like, not again.
It's a let out.
But then that takes us to the men's rumble. It's a little bit of a letdown for me, but kind of talk me through what you liked about it, because obviously you liked this one better than I did.
I enjoyed the men's rumble. I did, and I liked it because it wasn't. How can I say it? CM Punk didn't win, so
yes, had the outcome been different, like if it got down,
I would have been livid.
It drastically would have changed the way I felt about this match, because I would have been livid, for the love of God. Like, I kind of knew it was going to come down to Cody and CM Punk.
Yeah,
because that was pretty obvious. Yeah, and so the whole time I'm like, oh, if it gets down to those two, man, gosh, if CM Punk wins, this is going to suck. And so he didn't win. Cody Rhodes won. He won 2 years in a row, which they kind of telegraphed that because they talk so much about, hey, it's been since Stone Cold Steve Austin 20-something years ago was the last time that anyone won 2 in a row. 25 years ago. Can Cody Rhodes do it? And so they teased that a lot. Yeah, and they did. So it was like, oh, are they going to actually let this happen? And they did. Thank God. That's what saved this for me.
Yeah. I agree. And I enjoyed it. So, again, excuse me, sorry. Returns. Andrade. When I heard El Ídolo, I was like, yes. I'm happy he's back. We needed that. We saw a little bit of him and Santos Escobar kind of I was like, that's going to be a good one too. That would be a great match to see Carlito in there. Another great opportunity to see some good work. And then, of course, you had Sami Zayn returning from injury, which was great to see. No debuts. No,
it was, but not at number 30 though. This is where that's what let me down because I like Sami Zayn.
Yeah, of course.
The whole time we're going, as we were getting towards the end of the Rumble, I was like, okay, we know we got Drew McIntyre still has to come out.
Yep.
And I was thinking, is he going to come out at 30? If he doesn't come out at 30, is it going to be is The Rock coming out at 30? Like,
I thought it was
going to be
Rock
number 30?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when it was like, when he was, Drew McIntyre was 29, I was like, oh man, it's going to be The Rock. And then you're waiting. And then they have like the little delay. You hear the buzzer
pause.
Sound, and there's the delay.
You're waiting for the.
And then it's like,
I'm like,
and I was like, oh, really,
But you could tell the crowd was half happy. They were like, hey,
because they just wanted to sing along. They were like, hey, sing along. The song's fun to sing along to. But it was just like, come on, like that was like, oh, you let all the air out of the place because that's number 30. And other than it's nice to see Andrade back, but other than Andrade,
nobody else came out.
And Sami Zayn returning from injury, other than those two, there wasn't anybody. It was pretty standard. Like you had a couple of NXT guys.
Braun Breaker looked great.
I was surprised. Ricochet. Yeah, he did. Braun Breaker looked
Braun
excellent.
Breaker did awesome. And playing heel. Yeah, playing heel was awesome.
Well, and Dominic Mysterio was in there way too long. By the way, he was in the match like kind of hanging around the whole time. Yeah. You had the entire Judgment Day. You had Damian Priest. You had JD McDonough and R-Truth. He finally made it out when he was supposed to. Worst moment of this Rumble for me was Pat McAfee wasting a spot.
Yeah, I was disappointed
came in at number 22.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, is he going to do it? And he gets in there and just hangs out for 38 seconds and then eliminates himself. And I was like, you could have given that spot to somebody else and not have Pat McAfee just goof off and then jump out of the ring. That was like, it was stuff like that kind of let the air out of the event for me. Where I was like, there's someone more deserving than Pat McAfee.
I agree with that. And I was a little disappointed myself because I was like, okay, instead of Pat McAfee, and I did some research here, since there was the TNA, obviously, connection there, I'm like, why didn't we have Moose, the TNA champion? Yeah. Chris Sabin would have been amazing in a Rumble match. Yeah. Or hell, bring back one of the grizzled young vets. Bring back Frankie Kazarian. Yeah. Bring back Heath. Bring back, anybody really that's wrestling on TNA right now that could have done wonders. I was looking at my notes here because I wrote a few down here. Laredo Kid would have been cool. There's so many that Nick Nemeth. I mean, now you have Dolph Ziggler wrestling for TNA, so that could have been awesome. They mentioned him. Rich Swann is there. Santino's there. Come on. Like, there's so many different missed opportunities.
There was a lot of opportunities.
And you put Pat McAfee for a comic spot. Like, he didn't even wrestle. Like, he was shocked he was in it. Granted, it was a little funny because he climbed in and Omos and Breaker were looking at him and Breaker's like, come on. And he's like, nah. He climbs out and he's like, oh, I'm just kidding. Oh, okay, yeah, no, I'm out. And he got out and left and I was like...
Well, hang on a second, though. So here's my thing, though, because he didn't know. He was like surprised. He's like, what? I'm like, I thought you had to declare for the Royal Rumble. So how could you not know you were in it?
Yeah.
Like everything about that was dumb.
It just didn't mesh well.
You can't just put somebody's name in the Royal Rumble and now they're stuck and they have to go into it.
That's what number was it? Do you remember?
It was Pat McAfee. He was number 22.
Okay. It was a rest spot. It was a good rest spot because all the attention and cameras were on Pat McAfee and on Braun Breaker and Omos. Yeah. I guess they needed a break. They needed a rest spot. So they told Pat, hey, man, stall for a few minutes. Let the crowd work with you.
Yeah, because Omos came in right before him and then JD McDonough came in afterwards. And then R-Truth did his comic. But they did the comedy spot with R-Truth.
No, that was way better.
He tried to tag in, which was way better. And also,
first he threw JD McDonough back in the ring when he wasn't fully recovered, so he could get eliminated. He just watched him, and then he went in and was like, "Tag me in." Like, gets the hot tag. Yeah, then gets the hot tag from Dominic.
Like that was great. Again, R-Truth, everything he does right now is awesome. So that whole sequence was great. But for me, I was like, that's the real rest spot. Let R-Truth go out there and goof around for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Damian Priest gets him out of there. And you're like, okay, cool. They and that happened essentially. I mean, JD kind of didn't quite get into the or was kind of struggling to get into the ring. And then you had the R-Truth piece. So that all happened right after McAfee. So the 38 seconds that he was horsing around
could have been a better
didn't
spot.
feel like it really built anything, and it could have been it could have been used better. Mm-hmm. They did tie up a lot of. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention too. So obviously Cody Rhodes won, and Cody was the one who eliminated Shinsuke, who was going to stop Cody from doing his story. But it was pretty anticlimactic.
It was. It kind of just happened like that.
You're not going to stop me here. Yeah, he's like, all right, see ya, and then got him out, and it was like I was half expecting him. This is what I thought was going to happen. I thought he was going to throw him over and hit the floor, and then Cody was going to like jaw at him, and then he was going to spit the mist into his face.
Yeah.
Well, from the floor. That's what I thought was going to happen, and it was like, oh look, he's going to get him, and he's going to mess it up for him, and then that didn't happen. So I was like, I guess that feud's done. Yeah, he was going to, I'm going to get you, I'm going to ruin you, and then it didn't actually play through. He wasn't much of a threat to Cody at all in the Rumble, so that was a little. But they were trying to tie up all the loose ends. You had the Karrion Kross, Bobby Lashley one. You had Kaiser and Kofi Kingston going after each other because I think Kaiser eliminated Kofi.
No, Kofi eliminated Kaiser. And then
Kofi
Gunther
eliminated Kaiser. Yeah,
which was nice to see Gunther come to the ring and kind of lecture him.
Yeah,
like,
and he lectured Kaiser
dude,
about it. Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to be in there with me. And he just, like, walked away disappointed. And I was like, that was good. That was good. See, would have been a nicer way to use Shinsuke.
They did a good job about continuing to connect all because Carmelo Hayes was going back and forth with Austin Theory. So they can all those threads were connected, and they kind of resolved them all as much as they could. You had R-Truth getting eliminated, and then the Miz kind of going right at Damian Priest after that because Damian Priest threw him out to kind of go out to help his buddy. So they did a nice job of tying all of those things together. Yeah. But then ultimately, once it all ended, and Drew McIntyre, it's like, so did he get in his own way again? Is that what we're saying here? Because remember, he's like, I don't need you. I'm the leader now with CM Punk, and then he got thrown out, and it was like, oh, did you horse around too much again?
Who threw him out though? Sami Zayn. So that's that.
Yeah,
program.
Well, Sami Zayn
got his one up on him, so that's gonna be the program now. That's gonna be the feud now, is because now he cost him, and Sami's like, eye for an eye. You took me out for a while, so now I'm gonna take you out, and he did. So I think that's where that kind of goes. But now, and they wasted no time. After Cody won, he gets up on that turnbuckle, looks over at Roman Sweden, is just like, I want you. And then even Roman's like, me? I'm like, dude, Seth's on the other side. Yeah, he's pointing at you. And so
it's like this is pretty obvious who he's pointing to.
Yeah.
Well, and that makes sense. I think they had kind of played it that CM Punk was obviously going to go after Seth Rollins, and
but
Cody
she still
Rhodes
can
obviously going to go after Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Well, and that leaves that open too. And I like the touch. I'm like, are they going to try to heel turn CM Punk a little bit? Because they did the nice guy thing, but then he shouted the what I didn't wait 10 years to come back to lose to Dusty's kid.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Yeah, and then Cody was like, I'm nobody's kid, and then eliminated him. And it was like, okay, that was cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that storytelling piece, but it was also like you could kind of see the sheen come off of CM Punk where he's been doing that. I love everybody. I'm great. He was kind of acting more like his normal self in the Rumble match.
As the Rumble went on with him is where you saw that. As the Rumble started to go on. When he eliminated, who did he eliminate? Was it? No, it was Drew. Sami didn't eliminate Drew.
Yeah, he eliminated Drew. Because remember Drew grabbed him, was like, you're not my leader. And then he picked him up and he jumped him over the side. And it was really easy, too. And that's why
it was.
That's
and
why
the way
I was
he
like,
just looked at him.
Man, Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like he limited, and that's why I was like, "Is this Drew? Like, oh, Drew, you wasted too much time trying to trash talk him, and you allowed him to do that, and now you're
Yeah.
in your own way."
Yeah, I see
That's
what
where I
you're
was
saying
like,
now.
"Yeah, Drew
That's my
Drew
fault.
got
Got my
eliminated
notes.
by CM Punk,"
Got my notes mixed
but
up.
I think, that's where I'm like, what does that leave CM? Like, what's Drew McIntyre going to do now? Is he
Yeah.
going to quit? Because he's like, I really can't get out of my own way. I was thinking about quitting before, and I said, no, I'm going to enter the Rumble. And then, well, I messed up again. I guess it's over, guys. Like, I'm assuming he should come out and make that speech on Raw. Be like, yeah, you know what? I thought this was for me, but I guess I can't get out of my own way. It's been a career. And then he takes off and just leaves. Or they continue the CM Punk feud, or they just steer straight into Seth Rollins CM Punk. I don't. Well, they probably have to at this point delay until WrestleMania, right? Because Seth Rollins, he's injured. They got to give these guys something
wrestle.
to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe
That's
they
the
just do
filler.
that. They steer into the filler would be have the full feud with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre.
I can foresee a CM Punk promo on Monday night where he just tears into Drew like old school CM Punk style, like full heel. I think is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They have to turn him heel because the fact that he yelled that out, I didn't wait 10 years to get beat by Dusty's kid. I'm like, yeah, that's heel. Like you
totally
pulled the cover off. Like you're done. Like you're like, all right. And so that's, of course I'm glad Cody won, and obviously Cody's going to go for Roman, but you need to get Punk. You need to get Punk some matches because he looked gassed by the end of that Rumble.
Yeah.
Like he looked.
Well, and I like
gassed.
that when he whipped his shirt off. I don't know if it was Pat McAfee, who was, by the way, my least favorite part of the commentary team today. I'm not a huge fan of the 3-man teams. And McAfee, I felt like, kind of kept stepping on things the whole time. He kept stepping on Corey Graves and Michael Cole the whole time. But he goes, look at CM Punk. He's in the best shape of his life. He's added some muscle. And I was like, what are you talking about? CM Punk, he's a little doughy. He doesn't look all that great. I thought he was going to wrestle with the T-shirt on the whole time. Like
I did too for a little bit.
He doesn't want to get in the pool. Yeah, and I was like, oh, he didn't take his T-shirt off. He's like those kids that are like, I'm going to the pool, but I'm going to leave my shirt on. That's the vibe that I got. And then he whipped the shirt off, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's not in awesome shape. And then, sure enough, like the commentary team is trying to talk him up, like, oh, he looks fantastic. Yeah. He's added muscle, hasn't he? It's like, doesn't quite look like it. I think he showed all of his age. He's definitely older now, and he's not in great shape. Yeah. And even when he went on his run when he first came in, because he came in at number 27.
Yeah.
And so they delayed him
as much as they could.
Reasonable period of time. Mm-hmm. And then he comes out and he goes on his run, and he still didn't look awesome when he was kind of running around, throwing knees and running back and forth to the turnbuckles. He looked okay, and I don't know. I've never been a huge fan of his. I mean, the younger version of him was obviously definitely better from a physicality standpoint.
Of course. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how long this goes.
I'm curious as to what happens. I'm sure there's going to be a few promos coming up on Raw and SmackDown, especially from everyone involved in the Rumble. One thing I did want to note, and I was kind of pretty enticed to see, and I totally forgot about it because this happened last year too. How awesome would a Gunther Cody match be? Like,
it would be great.
That'd be so good. That would be so good. I think that'd be great. And I think Braun Breaker, what we've learned from the Rumble, Braun's ready for the main roster. I don't know why they're delaying him. I think they need to pull him up and get him going. Because they don't want to hold him back for now, because right now they can't put him in any title picture. Well, intercontinental title, him and Gunther they were going at it pretty well. That would be a nice nice change up.
Well, and they've got to do something. They've got to do something with Gunther, though. They've got to because now you've had him lose 2 Rumbles in a row. Where the first one he was in for almost the whole time and looked great. This one he was in for a significant. He was towards the end. He got eliminated. But you can't just have him keep holding the Intercontinental title indefinitely. Like at some point he's got to relinquish that thing and go make a world title run.
Yeah. Maybe after the smoke clears and settles from the others.
Yeah, maybe. Well, and then you still got Damian Priest hanging around with that briefcase. and we'll see if he cashes in on Gunther and does something else. I don't know.
I say he does that. Honestly, I feel that would probably be the better option. I mean,
at this point, it probably would because, and just please don't have him do a fake out cash in again. It's like if it happens, either make it an unsuccessful or successful one. Just let him actually get it rolling.
You know what would be good?
And get the briefcase off him.
Let CM Punk beat Seth for the title, so you can give him the title, right?
Right.
Let him think he's on top of the world, best in the world. He's gassed out. Damien's music hits, and Damien comes in and just destroys him, cashes in.
That would be awesome.
And wins the title. That would be great.
See, that would be great.
WWE will send you my
I don't know if that'll be the WrestleMania moment. That'll be like at the end of WrestleMania. That would be awesome.
The credits come on and then Judgment Day.
Here comes Judgment Day. Like, wait a second. Like that would be awesome. And then you can WWE for the credit to that. You can make sure Big D gets a producer credit on that.
I'll just take tickets to next year's Rumble. I'll be happy.
Send them. Oh, there you go. See,
that's all I want.
A little cheddar cheese, whatever it takes.
Nah, but that would be cool. That'd be a good one to see. One thing I did want to note about the Rumble too is the men's Rumble. This is what I liked about it though was the start. You had main event Jey Uso come out. Like, all right, who's gonna be number 2? His brother. And I remember they've always talked about they wanted to fight each other, like, and that face and heel dynamic. They never knew who would be the heel, who would be the face, but they're like, we want to do that. We want to go up against each other at some point in time, and it was done so well. Like you could see the hesitation in Jey, and Jimmy was like ready to go, and you know they started it out really good, and I enjoyed it. And then as more people came in, Jimmy did Jimmy things, right? Like, all right, come on, let's team up and let's beat up my brother, But again, it was cool. I liked it. I liked that dynamic because it was cool to see. Like, oh, you got both Usos. It was weird. It was weird to see them fight each other because we've never seen that really happen, like in a proper format. And it was just interesting, and it was just like, wow, like that was cool. I enjoyed that. That was really cool to see. So that's one of the things
I did too. That was a nice little bit of storytelling they did right at the beginning, and then Jay was in the match for a really long time,
almost to the end.
He was getting there close almost to the end, and I almost felt like because he got eliminated by Gunther, I think is who ended up throwing him out.
I think it was.
And when I saw it, I almost thought it was accidental. Like the way that it kind of happened, it felt like I was like, did he slip? And was he supposed to be eliminated at that point? Because he was kind of making a face like that. And I was like, he had been in the match for a long time, and I got to go back and rewatch it because when I saw it happen, it felt like it was more accidental at the time, and that he wasn't supposed to go out at that point, and he just slipped. Versus that's when he was supposed to get eliminated. But I mean, maybe it was. Maybe he was just tired, and it was he had been there for a long time.
Yeah, he was hitting the 1 hour mark. I think he was at 50 minutes or something like that. Yeah. But I mean, he had a good run.
Well, that's when they got to the end, it was like the longest entrant was like 31 minutes, and I was like, oh, like that's what was kind of odd when they showed the final times, where they're like, oh, who's been in here the longest? And it was like Gunther, and it was like 31 minutes,
which was new, I feel, and a nice addition to the Rumble. I liked that little tidbit of information on the top of the screen. Like, that was nice to see, even in the women's Rumble. It was pretty interesting.
Well, and Bayley set the record. Longest woman in,
and she's gonna brag about that too.
Won, and she set the record. Yeah. Oh, she will. She'll brag about it, and then Damage Control will like hit her with a chair from behind because they don't like her bragging. So something's going down in the next week or so on SmackDown.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Cool. Right on. Well, Royal Rumble. What's your overall grade? I know it's your favorite event.
If I'm being generous. Yeah, if I'm being generous. Only because...
That's a low grade. I thought you were going to give it like a B or something. Because you're like, I mean,
and here's why. I love the Rumble. It's my favorite event of the year. Honestly, I look forward to it every year, right? But I just feel like there was more opportunity for improvement. I mean, granted, nothing's perfect, right? But again, you're looking at the Women's Rumble match went very well. And that's probably the only one where I don't think anything could have been changed. For a minute there, I thought Jade was going to win the Rumble. I was like, damn, they're going to let her win the Rumble on her debut.
So did I. And I was so excited.
Insane.
I wanted that to happen.
I would have loved it. I would have been happy. I said I would have been happy. I didn't want Nia to win. I love Becky Lynch. Don't want her to win because she's already won it so many times. Like we need to get out of that monotonous cycle of the same women winning the championship over and over and over and over. And that's why I think they brought Jade in. And I think Triple H was worried as to how the crowd would react to Jade. You know, because she is a little different, you know, and how she performs, and she's more like in your face and more, you know, of a true like powerhouse, right? But I loved it. I think she was accepted very well by the crowd. The crowd loved her. They popped really well for her, and when she was just, especially when she threw Nia over, she won everybody over. So I think that was great for her first showing. I thought and would not have been disappointed if she would have won the Rumble. But you know, Bayley winning too is good only because of the storyline that's currently in place. So I give them that. Then putting the Fatal 4-Way in front of the United States title match,
the U.S. Championship.
Yeah, it made no sense because you had the crowd hyped up from the women's, and then now you got them even more hyped up, only to have a like, for what I feel, a botched interference call. Solo just really didn't do anything with it, and it took a while to build up. I enjoyed the match, don't get me wrong, I really did enjoy the match because of the spots and everything like that, but it took a while to get there, you know. And I feel that could have gone on third as co-main event. I feel the U.S. title match should have gone second, because by the time that match happened, the crowd was quiet. There are parts of that match where they're hitting good spots and the crowd was silent. People are leaving, going to the restroom, you know, and it kind of like dampened the match a little bit. And then you add in that crappy finish, like it was so stupid. Yeah. So then you have the men's Rumble, and then you have, you know, some wasted opportunity there by, you know, I like Pat McAfee, but I have nothing against him, but that was just a wasted spot. And then you had, you know, you had your other moments where, you know, the back and forth, CM Punk looking gassed and just, you know, not being able to pick people up like he used to. And then you had like the Jey Uso, where he looks like he slipped out on accident, you know. It just wasn't as clean. So I don't know. I like that Cody won. I'm very happy that my son is ecstatic because my son loves Cody Rhodes, and he was like so happy to see Cody win. I'm happy to see Cody win, and I love that they didn't make us wait till Friday for the obvious that he's going to challenge, you know, Roman Reigns. So I wonder if he comes out on Raw Raw on Monday, to say, you know, that he's going to go seek out Reigns on Friday. But I mean, it's just, I feel like the men's Rumble match went by really fast. I feel the timer counted down really, really quickly, which was odd.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I was going, I want to go back and actually start the timer.
Yeah,
because
I feel like Cody just came out. Yeah.
It's like, well, it's like that wasn't 90 seconds, and then like they would walk out pretty quickly, and then all of a sudden it's like 7, 6, 5, and I was like, that was maybe 45 seconds.
They were rushing it. I feel like they were rushing it, and I don't know why. Maybe for some people to help them out or whatever. But the reason I gave it a C was because I feel there's too much missed opportunity. I feel like the pace of the pay-per-view got like trampled when they threw in the Fatal 4-Way. I feel had they put the U.S. title second, they could have cut out some crap from the Fatal 4-Way and just made it that spot fest that it was meant to be, and that would have been such a great co-main event. And then have the Rumble to close out the show, because I know you want to close out the show with the men's Rumble, and that's fine. But I just, you know, that's just what I felt. I mean, I was really let down.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're off. I mean, I'll give it a C plus, just because, but it was not as strong as it should have been. Yeah. And I think too, with the Fatal 4-Way, there were moments on that where I felt like it dragged, and I was like, you got 4 top flight competitors in here. Yeah. There should be nonstop action going the whole time. Like, just let other guys take over, and like you said, cut out all the filler. Yeah. Like, you know, you've got an hour or something that's going to be spent in each of the Rumble matches. It should be a palate cleansing, fun, relatively quick match. And you do your storytelling with it. You don't have to drag. You don't have to have a bunch of unnecessary spots. The whole Solo thing really was disposable, because all he did was come out, Simone Spike, crash into the barricade, and then he's gone. And it was like, okay, it didn't matter that he even came out at that point.
Yeah.
So It could have been cleaner. Men's Rumble, it would have been nice. And here's the other thing too, because they really didn't have, other than Andrade, they didn't have any real surprise entrance. How much better would it have been if no one knew that at number 27 CM Punk was coming out?
Oh, I agree. I said the same thing.
Like,
yeah,
it would have been. As I watched it, I was like, well, since you didn't do any big reveals, and they didn't have him wrestle, all they had him do is talk trash on the microphone the whole time, and you didn't have him win it anyway. Why not just have him be the surprise entrant in 27 and just blow the doors off of everything? Yeah. That for me would have been better, because all they did was kind of waste time with him on promos for like the last several months since he announced he was coming back, and then he didn't even win the thing. So
I agree.
And you were going to trot him out at the end anyway. He was going to be a late entrant. So do what you did with Edge, where Edge came out of nowhere and he was like number 21, and nobody expected him to be back, and the place went bananas, and he stayed in there till the end.
Yeah,
do something like that.
That's probably Edge's return was probably one of my favorite returns ever. Like that was because of the way it was done. Like nobody knew it was happening. Yeah, and Edge was in immaculate shape. Like he ran through it, and he was not gassed. He was not, he did his thing, and unfortunately COVID happened shortly after that. But I mean, it's still like, I'm glad he got the pop he deserved, because I told my wife the same thing. I told her, I was like, you know what, Michael and I were talking about this, and we're saying that, it's would have been a lot better to have Punk debut here, because he hasn't done anything aside from house shows, right, with Dominic and wrestling him and stuff. But I mean, I feel like it was just missing something more. I feel like we needed some more surprise entrants. I just gave a whole list of TNA spots I could have taken Pat McAfee's spot if we were working with TNA now. I mean, hell, Bully Ray would have even been cool too. Let him come out as excuse me, not Bubba Ray, but have him come out as Bully Ray. That would have been awesome to see. Yeah. That would have been great to see. Yeah, there was some
lost opportunities there. I mean, there really was. And
hell, at that point, The Rock too. I would have been happy with that.
I know. I was like, just something to shake it up. But we got Sami Zayn at number 30. But it is what it is. And you know what? That's 2024 Royal Rumble. It's in the books. We'll be back next week to talk about the fallout from the Royal Rumble for Raw and SmackDown as well. But thank you all for joining us today. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Please leave comments if you agree with us, disagree with us, or just want to talk about wrestling, or give us observations that you saw during the matches as well. Hope you enjoyed the Royal Rumble. If you didn't, let us know that too. Let us know what you liked and didn't like. And that's what we got for this evening. We appreciate you as always, and until next time, we'll see you around.